My name is Jonathan Clarke, and I'm thrilled to be the Interim Dean for the Scheller College of Business through the remainder of 2023. So I grew up in Pittsburgh for the most part. We moved there in 1982. I did my undergrad degree at Indiana University and came back and did a PhD in finance at the University of Pittsburgh. And so once I finished up that PhD in 2001, I was fortunate. I interviewed and landed the job here at Georgia Tech and have been here ever since. I met my wife here. We got married in 2006, and we have two kids, a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. We love to travel, so we always take a big trip every summer. We've been through New Mexico, through the West. We've traveled internationally to Portugal, to the UK. We're going to Germany this summer, so travel is just something we love to do. The other thing I love to do with my family is I love to fish. Whether it's fly fishing or saltwater fishing, I love to go fishing a few times a year. I wish I could do it even more. I think one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten is just to do something you're passionate about. And I think I've done that. I've spent my career as a finance professor, but I always loved reading books about finance, about the stock market, about the economy. So I feel like one thing I did well is to follow my passions, and that was one bit of advice I've gotten. The other bit of advice I've gotten is to really, show up, put in the time, work hard. And that's always so much easier when you're pursuing something you're passionate about. As far as my upbringing, I came from a very academic family. My dad was a professor. He was a longtime computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon University. And I think he always instilled with us a curiosity, a joy of learning. And so that's really what made me want to pursue a PhD and ultimately become a professor. So I was always fascinated by the economy, by the stock market. So as an undergrad at Indiana University, I majored in math and economics. And then from there, I went on and did a PhD in finance right after undergraduate. And once I finished that up, I came directly to Georgia Tech, was fortunate to get a job at the Scheller College of Business, and have been here ever since. So I think what got me interested in the stock market is my dad in about 1987 took me to go see the movie Wall Street. And I think he wanted to teach me about the evils of Wall Street, about the evils of greed. I watched that movie and I just became fascinated. I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be involved in finance. I want to understand how the stock market works. And that movie, and him taking me to that movie, is really what sparked my curiosity. And, in college, I studied math and economics, and then that led to me going into a PhD program in finance. As to why I wanted to be a professor, my dad was always a big role model for me. I always admired him. And I got to see his lifestyle as a professor. I got to see how he pursued his research, how he pursued his teaching. And so that made me want to go into academics as well. And then when I went off to college, I was very fortunate to work as a research assistant for two economics professors. And I got to see how they thought about their research, how they worked with data, how they analyzed data. And that helped lead me to the decision to work on a PhD. When I got into the PhD program at University of Pittsburgh, I had a terrific dissertation advisor, Kuldeep Shastri. And he was terrific. He worked with me from day one up until when I graduated and finished the degree, and really invested a lot of time in me. And that really helped define my career and set me up for success. And once I finished that up, I came directly to Georgia Tech, was fortunate to get a job at the Scheller College of Business, and have been here ever since. I've been at Scheller for 22 years. I started at Scheller in 2001, and we were on the other side of campus over by the CRC. And that's where we started out. We were there for about 2 years, and then we moved into this beautiful building. Actually, my interaction with Georgia Tech started when I was in high school. I applied to Georgia Tech. I applied for the engineering program. I thought I wanted to be an electrical engineer. I got into Georgia Tech. I got accepted to Georgia Tech in 1991. They sent me a Citrus Bowl t-shirt in the mail from the year they won the national championship. I didn't end up coming to Georgia Tech. I kind of regret it, but I always had very positive feelings for Georgia Tech from when I was a high school senior. When I started the finance PhD program, I was very interested in empirical work. I was very interested in corporate finance type investment issues. And so the year I was on the job market, I saw that Georgia Tech was hiring. They had some really well-known researchers in this area. And so I applied, went through the interview process, and was fortunate to get the offer. The one thing that has always stood out to me is the collaborative nature of our faculty. And that's one thing that's not true of every business school, but I think it's been true here. And so I've been very fortunate to write papers with several members of the faculty. Several members of the faculty have always been willing to give feedback on my work, to help me in the classroom, to give me opportunities to teach in different programs. And so the one thing that's always stood out to me is the collaborative nature of our faculty. I think that's really important. The other thing that's always stood out to me is our students. I mean, they are just fantastic. And I think the defining qualities of a Scheller student are, one, they're curious. They like to ask questions. They like to understand how things are working or how things do work. They're humble. They're hardworking. They're great problem solvers. And I think those things really make them stand out. They make them stand out here on campus. They make them stand out when they do their internships and they pursue their full-time jobs. And being here 22 years, it's just been fantastic. When you take those qualities of our students and you see how they apply those in the workplace once they leave Georgia Tech, it's amazing. A lot of them have just gone on and done spectacular things. So that's been one of the great joys of being a professor here, being in my job, is to be able to keep in touch with those students that maybe took my class in 2001, 2002, and see where they are today. They're doing all kinds of great things. I think 3 of the proudest moments of my career are, one, getting here. It's not easy to land a tenure-track job. It's not easy to land a job at an institution like Georgia Tech. So even getting my foot in the door was a very proud moment for me. Another proud moment was when I got tenure. A lot of hard work goes into publishing. Publishing in our top journals is not easy. Some of these journals have acceptance rates of 5%. And so making it through the tenure process was a very big deal and a very proud moment for me. The other proud moment for me was when I won the Core MBA Professor of the Year for the first time. I think I spent a lot of time teaching. I wanted to do well in the classroom, and to be able to get some recognition for that was really terrific. So those are 3 big events that really stand out for me. So I think one bit of advice for students is to get involved. Scheller has a lot of different clubs, and so no matter your interest, you can find an organization that aligns with that. And so getting involved is really important. The other bit of advice I tell students is to reach out to your professors outside of the classroom. Talk to them about your career goals. Talk to them about your aspirations. A lot of times they can help you network with a student that maybe graduated 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And those kinds of connections can be invaluable. And so getting to know your professors, talking with them about your dreams for your career, about your aspirations, that can be time well spent. I think the key to being a good interim dean is to make sure that you can keep things moving along. Grow our undergraduate program, continue to grow our MBA programs, our evening, our full-time, our executive programs. And so really keep things moving there. I think I want to use this interim period to also look for ways to engage the rest of campus, whether that's looking at new programs or degrees with College of Engineering or College of Computing or Georgia Tech's other colleges. But I really hope to continue to work on our programs, our non-degree programs, the custom programs that we do with corporations, the open enrollment programs we're doing, to potentially look at some new types of programs. Maybe that's a 4+1 program. Maybe that's a new online degree. But I really look forward to working closely with Anuj on those programs. I think one thing I look forward to doing is looking for ways that we can spur that engagement where our students can interact with companies via practicums or engage in interdisciplinary projects with other students on campus. So I think engagement, excitement, growth, I think those are words that come to mind for the future of Scheller. I hope that in the coming months, faculty, staff, and students are excited for the new dean to join. I hope they're excited for the growth opportunities ahead for Scheller. When I think about what the next 5 years, what the next 10 years, are going to look like. I'm excited. I think there's a real opportunity to build on the successes of Dean Alavi and Ray Scheller's profile even more.